Okay, when last we left our little 3DO project, we were ready to get some loaded games on our USB drive and test out the system. So inside here, we've got our USB drive hooked up to the board by MNEMO, and we are ready to power this up. I'd put on the lid, keep dust from getting in there. So like TV's on now, so hopefully this will boot up to our menu, and here we are. And we'll just go into a game here real quick and see if everything's working as expected. I think it should be. I got flashback booting up here, and since I put the board in, I actually made a purchase from Stone Age Gamer for a few items to further mod the console, which I'll do here in a second. Let's go ahead and just take us back to the main menu. And I don't know if you can hear this. That's the sound of the 3DO. It's pretty loud, and that comes from this fan right here on the board. One of the items that I bought from Stone Age Gamer is a replacement fan that is low noise. So let's go ahead and turn this off and open this up. There's a tiny fan in here. All right. It's got a fan here, and we're going to need an adapter, I believe, to make that compatible with the 3DO. So we've got an adapter here that I got from Stone Age Gamer. This fan I got off of Amazon. So there's the adapter for the new fan. Go in here to our fan. So it's plugged into the board right here. Okay. It came off. It's got a little groove pointing that direction. Put that aside. Yep, looks exactly the same. In that same spot. I think that it should go in this way myself. Okay. I'm going to turn it on and see what it sounds like. Wow, barely perceptible. It was really loud before. Okay, so that's a nice adjustment. The other thing that I got from Stone Age Gamer are these two little clips, and those are for our front Panasonic plate. Now that Panasonic plate normally would be on the front of the disk drive, which we've removed from the system at this point. But we would want something to hold that Panasonic plate on there. It just, as far as the disk drive, it had some little brackets. You just pull that up on the disk drive and that came out. So we've got two small These little brackets, they're going to help hold this thing on. So let me turn it off for a second. And let's see, this would be up here. So I think we could probably slide this on this bracket first. Thinking it must go that way. So after a little trial and error, I've got my front plate on top of my 3DO unit. It wasn't, the clips weren't really fitting around the piece that they clamp on my particular unit. So this, this little black piece is connecting this one, and this last arm here had a little bit that would wrap around each side. I had to file that down so that this piece was straight and didn't curve up at the end. Even so, I can tell it's flexed ever so slightly. If I bend this out, I can see it goes straight and might be pooching out, stressing that little piece just the tiniest bit. So I'm probably gonna go ahead and take these clips off again, file just a little bit out of the way very carefully on one or both of the clips, and that should be ready to go in its permanent state. And just shows sometimes how you have to do a little bit of fitting and adjustment when you're working with systems. And we'll just put the lid on here real quick to give us a look at how this is going to look once everything is ready to go again. Okay, here we are in the home stretch of the replacement of the 3DO CD-ROM drive with a USB adapter. I've got a USB drive with a few games on it, and I'm going to go ahead and plug that into the adapter. Before we turn it on and test it, I'm going to add two other modifications while we're in it. The fan for 3DOs are notoriously loud, and so I'm going to replace this stock fan. I'm not sure if that'll show up on the video, but to me it's quite loud when it comes on. And we're going to replace that with this aftermarket fan, which has a low noise functionality. So let me just grab the fan here. Pull that pin out. It has a special adapter for these fans for the 3DO. So when you order the fan, you'll have to get an adapter for that. And you can get that from stoneagegamer.com. So let me just come over, plug that adapter in. On the fan, there's these little indentations, and I think you need one of those indentations pointing up because the lid is going to fit down into that groove. And if you don't have that groove there, then the lid won't fit down properly. And I know this because I've done this before and re-recorded a new video. The other thing I found was that I hadn't pushed the fan all the way down. So just see if that's all the way down now. Those are my helpful hints on replacing the fan. This particular fan had anti-vibration pads also integrated onto the side, which is kind of cool. So the lid fits down snug. That's great. Before, it wouldn't fit all the way on the left-hand side. And so the other modification I wanted to make was to actually finish the look of the front of the module. Once we take the drive out, the front of the drive has the Panasonic logo on it, makes it look real nice. Otherwise, you have a big hole in the front of your 3DO. So, also from Stone Age Gamer, I ordered these 2 custom clips, which you can see here, that go on each side. And these clips make it so that the plate grabs onto the shell at these 2 places, here and here. There's a little kind of an L shape at the bottom of those, and this is going to go in there and hold that in place. Now, I will say when I first got it, the adapter on the far end there had a little hook around the end that was supposed to wrap around that little plastic portion of the shell, and it did not fit correctly, and so I filed that off and made another adjustment to the inner groove so that this would all fit down appropriately. So at this point, I can just slide that into place, and now we've got a nice front for the Panasonic front. So let me go ahead and get this unit ready to stitch back up. Although this piece is kind of heavy to add back to the 3DO, I'm going to put this bar back that goes over the CD-ROM slot, and that's going to provide support in case any weight was put on top of the 3DO. These bars here help support any weight. Not that you should put any weight there, but if some did get there, I'd rather have there be support. All right, so the next step would be the heat shield adapter. Don't worry, I'm an unlicensed amateur and I don't know what I'm doing. I chose to do the internal model just you know, to maintain the look of the system and not have that big USB stick coming out the front, because I figured once I get the games on the USB stick, I'm probably not going to be changing USB sticks in and out all the time, so I'd rather have it internal. But it does make it a little bit, well, it does make a lot more work if you want to go back and get to that again. Oops. Snap that down in place. There's only those 2 screws on the front, so we are ready to put the cover back on the system. Just gonna put it on there and then make sure that the Panasonic logo looks good on the front of the machine. Since I took this off a moment ago. All right, I think that looks about correct. Let's go ahead and turn it on, make sure it works, and then we will put in the final screws. So when I turn it on, it should boot up to the menu. And it did. Had 4 screws remaining. At this point, we want to be really careful as we turn the unit over, because if the lid comes off, the reset and start buttons fall out. I haven't done that, but I've seen a lot of other people complain about that, so got my 3DO at Babbage's. That was the company that later became GameStop. I worked at Babbage's for several years as a sales associate, and then an assistant manager, and then a manager. And I moved to the corporate office. And I used to make the preview tapes of games that were shown in the front of the stores. And every now and then a rep from the game systems manufacturers would come by, and this one representative named Brett came by and showed off the 3DO. And I was always a big fan of the 3DO. I bought mine through Babbage's refurbished. At the time, the price of the unit had dropped down to $400. I got refurbished for $300 and felt like I got a pretty good deal at the time. I was used to paying about $1,000 for a computer system to play video games on, so I thought, you know, pretty good deal. And we are back in business.